Alright, so I've talked about first player mode, stages and music, mainly stages, returning veterans, cut veterans, not in that order, and now it's time to talk about the newcomers. But before I talk about the newcomers, I want to give a big thank you to everybody that commented in the last topic, which was the returning veterans and the cut veterans. A lot of people had a lot to say on my list of cut veterans, and I also want to apologize in advance for some things that may have just been completely incorrect, like my use of the word relevance. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have used that term the way I did, and also looking back at it, there's a lot of things that I probably could have said to make things seem like they make more sense than they came across as. The issue is I have a problem kind of explaining things and not using like words and explanations right, if that's not apparent, if from one of these other videos, then from the last topic. So I apologize for any mistakes and contradictions I've made. The other thing I just want to note is that some of the things in terms of movesets, they're all my ideas and opinions on it. I'm not trying to say that these would be better for everyone, but they're better, like, this is the way that I would probably do it. I'm not saying that they would be better for everyone, just maybe better for me, I guess. But that's why these are discussion videos, because if you guys have an idea of what they should do in terms of changes, I mean, feel free to leave the comment. But like I said, I want to thank all of you for showing your opinion on it. A lot of people didn't like my list for cut veterans, and I can understand why. The mindset I had when making that, if I haven't explained that in the video, was that with Wolf being gone from Smash 4 in the transition, that's the word I'm looking for, in the transition leading to Smash 4 from Brawl, like, he was one of those few characters that was cut, and he was a newcomer. Like, out of all characters, I didn't expect him to be cut. I expected Rob to be cut more than Wolf to be. So my mindset is to cut a lot of these characters, a majority of them being the newcomers from Smash 4, and basically do the same thing that they did with Wolf, but on a bit of a larger scale. Not counting third-party characters, even though there are some third-party characters in that cut list. But if you want to learn more about my opinions on that and the different moveset changes I made for everybody, go ahead and look at those videos. Because now I'm going to be talking about my ideas for who I think will make it into Smash 5 as a newcomer. So I'm making this top 15 list real quick. I'm going based off a pattern that Smash Brothers has been making lately, and that is that a lot of the designs and characters have been kind of based on the last home console generation. For example, characters like Wii Fit Trainer and Rosalina, their games premiered on the Wii. Little Mac had a game on the Wii, and designs like Samus's Metroid Other M Various Suit was on the Wii. Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles, the Wii. And the only character that I'm aware of that was on the Wii U that's a newcomer is Bayonetta. I mean, yeah, I know she was on previous consoles before, but not on Nintendo. Basically, my point is that they seem to like to take characters or designs from a previous generation, home console wise, and add something like that into the next Smash Brothers. So some of the picks on here are with that same formula in mind. When it comes to handheld games, though, and series like Pokemon and Fire Emblem to an extent, that doesn't necessarily count. I don't really see a pattern with that. It tends to stay relevant. When I say relevant, I mean like up to date. I'm gonna try to refrain from using relevance, especially since it kind of contradicts, well, what's said is said. I have to own up to it. There are a few exceptions to this formula in this list because at the way that Nintendo's been proceeding on with the Switch and wanting to distance itself from the Wii U, I do feel the need that some Switch representation will be present in this new game. So I do have, I believe, at least 2 or 3 Switch representatives. So there's that. I don't really have many rules for this. The reason I picked 15 is because throughout looking through the amount of newcomers they've put in Smash Brothers, it's usually been between 13 to 16 characters. 13 being in Melee, 16 being in Brawl, not counting 2 of the 3 Pokemon in Pokemon Trainer slot, and 15 in Smash 4, not counting the DLC or the other 2 variants of Mii's. If we are to count them, though, that's about 20 newcomers. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right, though. I have to recount. I have a list right here on what I counted. But if my numbers are wrong, feel free to correct me. So it's going to be top 15, also because I didn't want to do a top 20 list when I found out that, yeah, technically it's 20 newcomers. The list is going to go from who I think is less likely to make it to I think who is almost sure to make it in. A lot of the characters on here are not characters I'm very familiar with, either because I've never played the game or... No, that's about it. It's if I've never really played the game, so I'm not going to go into like moveset theories or anything like that. The other thing I'm counting in this list is who was popular during the Smash ballot, which is only a couple of characters. And the last thing I want to note is that there's no limit to third-party characters, but that being said, it's not going to be comprised of all third-party characters. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start with number 15, Springman / Ribbon Girl. So, one of the only Switch representatives I put on this list, Springman and Ribbon Girl, I find would be a pretty good choice, especially if my prediction, well, not really prediction, but one of the cuts on my list comes true, that being Little Mac being cut. They could easily give Springman and Ribbon Girl some of his moves, just with more extension range, whatever you want to call it. Because I'm not going to say that they're boxers, but they're pretty reminiscent, if you ask me. I've never played ARMS because I don't have a Switch at the moment, and even if I did, I don't really have an appeal to play it. But if there's any game that they want to promote on the Switch, ARMS would be a decent choice, much like the Inklings and Splatoon. The reason I pick Ribbon Girl with Springman is because when it comes to talking about ARMS characters, I see Ribbon Girl being talked more about than Springman, but Springman is the poster boy of ARMS. So we may have like a Robin Corrin situation or Wii Fit Trainer situation where they'll probably have Springman as one alternate and then Ribbon Girl as another. I should also point out that this list is probably going to sound a lot like a majority of other lists that are on YouTube. And again, this is characters that I think will make it, not characters that I want personally. I'm going to be making a list for that next. But moving on, number 14, I have Rex and Pyrrha from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Again, another game I haven't played, but one that I'm actually interested in playing. From what I heard, Rex and Pyrrha would be a duo type of character, similar to either Pokemon Trainer or Ice Climbers, in that you play as one of them while the other's in the background, or possibly play as them together. Again, like Ice Climbers. I can see Rex being a decent character, an average, like, giant sword fighter wielding character with a hook shot grapple move, because I know he has a hook shot. Although I haven't played the games, I've at least seen some footage to get a decent idea of how he would work. Normally I would just say Rex or Pyrrha, because from some of the footage I've seen, Pyrrha is able to actually fight on her own, and pretty well from what I've seen. The issue that I keep hearing, though, is that apparently these characters can't be too far away from each other or something. Again, I have no idea, but I think they would make a decent character. It would be unique to have both of them, but if I had to pick one or the other, I'd probably pick Pyrrha, just for more female representation, if anything. At number 13, I have Isabel from Animal Crossing. Now, Isabel is a bit of an odd choice, because the thing that I've noticed is that she's been a very popular character when it comes to Animal Crossing representation. She's actually been an assist trophy in Smash, and as we know, Little Mac started out as an assist trophy, Smash Brothers wise, and he made it to being a full-fledged character, so by that, she automatically gets a higher potential to be in the game. I mean, that's what a lot of people like to think when it comes to Waluigi. So I'm just giving Isabel that same treatment. But aside from that, she's also one of the only characters to be a guest for Mario Kart 8, which included the Villager and Link from Legend of Zelda. And of all choices, it's kind of odd that Isabel would be that choice. So, I mean, it goes to show that her popularity is taking her places, so being a possible playable character in Smash, I can see happening. For a moveset with her, she could be similar to the Villager, if anything a bit like a pseudo-clone, where she'd be pulling out different items and utilizing like gyroids or other tools that the Villager doesn't use or uses in a different way as a moveset. I think one thing that they could add is an ability for her to go ahead and just like eat fruit, since her assist trophy, she throws fruit at the summoner so that they can heal. I think it'd be neat to give her a move that lets her heal damage, and I think it would be the only one in Smash history to actually heal without having to drain or, like utilize some other way to heal, like Wario eating certain items like his bike, or Robin with his Nosferatu tome. I know for one of her moves, she can use Lloyd, I think they're called gyroids, the weird rocket thing that villagers shoot out. She can use the one called Lloyd that sets up public works projects and use them like a type of mine. Because they already explode for Villager, why not for Isabel? I'm not going to go into full details as to what I think for a moveset, what moveset could potentially be for Isabel, but I think she has a good chance of being in. And also for the record, although I said that this would be from who I think is most likely to make it to, or who's, yeah. When I say this is a list of people from like 15 being the least likely, from 1 to being the most likely, just because there's a least to most doesn't mean that I'm discrediting characters like Springman or Rex and Pyrrha from not being able to make it in at all. I mean, like, just being considered is enough. Because characters like Bandana D and Captain Toad and Waluigi are not on this list because I have absolutely no faith that they would make it. And the only reason why Rex and Pyrrha and Springman and Ribbon Girl are so low on the list is because I'm going more of on the formula of the past home-gen console editions. I'm not saying that will be the case, but that's just my own personal reasoning. Moving on though, at number 12 I have Rayman from the Rayman series. So Rayman is a bit of a interesting character. I've only played Rayman 1 and Rayman 3. I've never played Rayman Legends or any other Raymans, really. But I found that his inclusion as a trophy was odd, considering, from what I can tell, there's no Ubisoft representation in the game. Only from the Rayman trophy and those 2 comrades of his that also made it as trophies. I don't know the story on it. I think he was actually intended to be a character, but that got scrapped or something. So or it was just that Ubisoft sent the data for Rayman's model and they just put it in as a trophy. I feel that putting him as a trophy was just a sign of possibly making him a playable character. So, I mean, there's that. But trophies aren't enough. The thing that kind of helps seal it a bit better is the relationship that Ubisoft and Nintendo have already made, especially with the Rabbids pairing up with Nintendo's lead mascot Mario. I mean, if you got the Rabbids in with Mario in their own game, I'm pretty sure that they can slide Rayman into Smash Brothers. I mean, that's basically my only reasoning as to why I think Rayman will make it in. I mean, he's also been requested highly ever since the trophy came out, probably a little before then. But I think they're hinting at something, and I can see Rayman making it in at the very least. If not, then at least the Rabbids can make it in as an assist trophy, annoying other fighters on the stage while they do Rabbid things, I guess. I never played a Rabbids game either. At number 11, I have Wonder Red from the Wonderful 101. With the inclusion of Bayonetta in the game, I feel that this character has much more potential to make it in now, but that's not the only reason. When Smash 4 was coming out, and even when the Smash Ballot was happening, Wonder Red was a character that a lot of people were hoping to make it in. And the thing is that this is where that formula comes in, where past generation home console characters would be taking the spotlight for newcomers, with the exception of handhelds and retro characters. With Smash 5 coming out now, I think Wonder Red has a better chance since his game was on the Wii U. Now they're going to be wanting to take characters from the Wii U and put them in Smash. At least that's how I see what they would do. As for any of the other wonderful Wonder character heroes or whatever, I never played Wonderful 101. I played the demo and needless to say I did not enjoy it at all. But in terms of the other characters, I don't know if any of them would be better or worse. I just hear that Wonder Red is either the leader or the most suitable. So that's why I put him on the list as opposed to anyone else. But if there was ever a time to consider Wonder Red in Smash, I think now would be the time. That being said, he is a third-party character, being Platinum Games and all that, so that's something to consider, I guess. At number 10 now, I have Shantae from the Shantae series. She's so far the only indie character I have on this list. It was a tie between Shovel Knight and Shantae, but I lean towards Shantae more. Reasoning number 1 is that, again, more female reps. Although I should point out that female representation shouldn't be as in demand as it was in Smash 4, considering how many females we actually got. That being said, I wouldn't mind a couple more. That's why I made my my comments on I wouldn't mind if it was just Pyrrha instead of Rex, but that's its own thing. Anyways, though, Shantae. 1, the female rep. My other reasoning is she has more history than Shovel Knight. Although Shovel Knight, I believe, was designed to replicate the old NES style of games, from its graphics to its gameplay and difficulty, to an extent. Shantae's been around since the GameCube, or not the GameCube, the Game Boy Color era. And I think her second game started off on the DSi as DSiWare, and then Pirate's Curse, and then Half Genie Hero. And I think Half Genie Hero is the only one that actually became its own game that went on to other platforms instead of Nintendo. I could be wrong. Go ahead and correct me. But Shantae has history, and I consider her the queen of the indie series, and what better way to promote the indie series than by putting in her. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's probably a better representative for the indies, but I think Shantae is the most recognizable. Not to mention, Nintendo has been really hammering on the indie games lately, so I think seeing an indie character come into Smash Brothers is almost guaranteed. At number 9, I have a tie between Lana or Sia from Hyrule Warriors. This one, honestly, I'm leaning towards Lana more than Sia. If anybody's looked at my Returning Veterans video regarding the Zelda characters, I mentioned that redesigned for Sheik and Ganondorf could be their Hyrule Warriors iterations. But with that being said, a character that can help represent Hyrule Warriors, I mean, honestly, what better character than an original character from that game? I was thinking of the other two original characters, Wizrow and Volga. Wizrow, I dropped immediately though, because he's probably the weakest character to represent the game. Volga, I think, has a better chance, but at the same time, he doesn't have as much of an impact in the plot as Sia and Lana do. And spoilers, I guess, but Sia and Lana are the same character. It's just a good half and an evil half thing. But the reason why I say I think Lana has a better chance over Sia is because Sia doesn't really have too much going for her to make a move set out of. I mean, she has her scepter mace thing that she can whip around giving her decent range. And she can summon enemies, or at the very least Darklings, to perform different slash attacks and spin attacks. She can fire off orbs, and she has some potential, but not as much as I find with Lana. With Lana, she has her spell book, which can create walls and burst them into electrical shockwaves. She has the Deku Staff for water and ice attacks and growing trees. And then she has the Summoning Gate to summon monsters like mini Dodongos, Gomas, Manhandlas, Argoroks, and even a giant Cuckoo. So she has a lot going for her, and she can utilize all of that in just one moveset. I'm just saying. But I figured I'd put Sia with Lana again because they are the same character. So that's my reasoning. At number 8, I have another tie, but this time it's not from necessarily the same game, but just more of the same series. Lyn and Celica from the Fire Emblem series. Okay, so regarding Lyn, she's actually from a much older Fire Emblem game. I don't remember which one. I think it's Binding Blade, if I'm not mistaken, which was the first Fire Emblem game to reach the West. And Lyn is a very popular character. If they don't want to represent her like based on that game, they can represent her from her role in Fire Emblem Warriors. Although she doesn't have a main role in that game, she is one of the most unique characters in that game, considering that a majority of characters play more or less the same. Lyn is one of the few that doesn't, and she's probably my second favorite character to play. But like I said, she's an incredibly popular character. Like Isabel, she's also one of the few characters that is an assist trophy as well. So if we're going with the Little Mac logic, she has plenty of potential, if not more than Isabel. But then there's also Celica, who represents Shadows of Valentia in Fire Emblem Warriors. She's the only representative in that game, just like Lyn is the only representative for Binding Blade in that game. The other thing is that Shadows of Valentia had recently came out along with Fire Emblem Warriors, and with what Celica can do, she's a mage and also a swordswoman. Like, she can use blades and she can use magic. So if another cut character that I listed gets cut, in this case Robin, I think Celica could easily replace him, her, whatever. The only issue I have is that in Shadows of Valentia, using magic costs health, so if they were to implement that into a moveset for her in Smash, there's a good chance we could see a Pichu issue. But who can say? At number 7, I have Isaac from Golden Sun. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't know all these characters very well, and Isaac is one of those characters that I have little to no information about. I did own the original Golden Sun and the other one, both for Game Boy Advance, but I never got very far in them, and I don't even really know much about Isaac as a character, other than what some people have said and his role in Smash Bros. Brawl as an assist trophy. He's also one of those characters that didn't make it back as an assist trophy, which is a little saddening, honestly. But I feel that he can warrant a spot. He's one of those characters that I put on this list because of his potential in the Smash ballot, because from what I gathered, he was actually pretty well received. I could be wrong, it's just from what I heard. He was pretty well received in the Smash ballot, so if they're considering any other characters from there, Isaac is almost guaranteed, I think. Almost. I mean, if he was able to make it as an assist trophy in Brawl, I think Sakurai and the team could consider giving him a playable slot. At number 6, I have Takamaru from the mysterious Murasame Castle. So this one, I only have one odd reason as to why I added Takamaru, because I know next to nothing about him. I know Isaac better than I know Takamaru. But from what I gathered, Sakurai originally wanted Takamaru to be in the game as one of those retro characters, kind of like Duck Hunt, but was cut because everyone else deemed that he wasn't going to be a very noteworthy character. I believe it was that nobody would know who he was. So they decided to just scrap the idea, but at least make him an assist trophy. And so there he is in Smash 4. But with the release of the mysterious Murasame Castle onto the Wii U's eShop, because from what I can gather, Nintendo Switch doesn't have an eShop, at least for Virtual Console, I should say. They don't have a Virtual Console, but on the Wii U's Virtual Console, it got released. So now that more people have an idea who Takamaru is, I think he has a better shot at making it in. If Sakurai has a say in it, at least more of a say than he did before. And being an assist trophy, that just helps even more, again going to that Little Mac logic. Okay, so moving on to the top 5 now. At number 5, I have Dixie Kong from Donkey Kong Country. Dixie Kong is another character that has been highly requested, as most people want more representatives for Donkey Kong, and I'm one of those people. Dixie has been a fan favorite since DKC 2. She even was the star in DKC 3, which honestly bugs me. It just bugs the hell out of me. Why Dixie in the other one? And there's no sign of Diddy or Donkey up until the end, I think. But I digress. The only issue I have with Dixie is a potential moveset that isn't too similar to Diddy Kong's. And I think that's probably the only reason why she may not make it. That being said, she is in the top 5 of this list, and with as popular as Tropical Freeze has been, I think it would be a missed opportunity to not include somebody from that game as a playable character in this one. And what better character than Dixie Kong? Female rep, a fast, agile character. Again, I just don't know what they can change to differentiate her from Diddy Kong other than the jetpack and the peanut pop gun. At number 4, it's another Donkey Kong Country rep, and that is King K. Rool. Now, I'm with a majority of people when we say that we need more villains. In Smash 4, it was we need more females. In Smash 5, it's we need more villains. And it was a huge injustice when they took out Wolf, a villain, and didn't bring him back. That's why in the ending of the Returning Veterans one, I said that Wolf should return. Just make him more different. But this isn't about Wolf, this is about King K. Rool. Now, unlike other heavyweights, King K. Rool does have quite a few different tools at his disposal for a very unique moveset, if not a very tricky one. The only reason why I think he might not be recommended as much is because we already have a fat reptilian king in the form of Bowser. But as I said, his moveset has potential to be much more different than Bowser's or any other villain that's currently in the game. The other things is that he has a Mii costume, and although I'm not going to say that's enough of an excuse to give him a slot, because that shows some relevance, I guess. I'm using that damn word. My thing is that they brought the Kremlings as enemies in Smash Run, which initially I thought, okay, King K. Rool might actually make it if the Kremlings are in, because they're representing Donkey Kong Country, even though the Donkey Kong Country Returns was also being represented in the form of those tiki drum things in Smash Run. But at the very least, with the sign of the Mii costume and the Kremlings in Smash Run, it goes to show that it's not an issue of licensing because of Rareware working on the original DKC trilogy or anything like that. I mean, I've never thought of that being the reason, but in case anybody thought that, well, I mean, I feel that's not the case. I would like to see him. I just hope that he isn't too similar to Bowser, because like I said, fat reptilian king evildoer. There's a lot of similarities, and if you're not going to draw similarities to him, you can draw them in some regard to King DDD. But overall, I hope he does make it in, because he can use cannonballs, he can throw his crown, he has a scientist getup, so he can hover around if needed. He has a pirate getup. He can shoot spiked balls from that boomstick shotgun cannon thing, and he's got a boxing attire. So I mean, you know, he has a lot to work with to make him his own character. I'm only stressing ideas as to why he might not be considered, and I'm just trying to abolish that. Alright, so at number 3, this one might have people turning their heads, especially since Rex and Pyrrha are way lower on the list, if you count 14 as lower, but you know what I mean. Number 3, Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Now just hear me out. Again, this is more of the formula, which in hindsight I'm probably not using as much as I thought I did. But like, this is a case of utilizing the formula and them not wanting to completely forget Xenoblade Chronicles X, because although it's not a very well received game in some regards, it's not the worst game that they've made. I mean, it's a pretty fun game to an extent. The thing is, though, is that I think it's probably the weakest Xenoblade Chronicles game out of the other two. I haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles or Xenoblade Chronicles 2, only X. So I can say that I had a decent time with it personally. It reminded me of Phantasy Star in some regards with its mission structure and equipment and shit like that. But anyways, I'm talking about Elma now. So, past gen formula, home console gen thing. If there's any character to take from Xenoblade Chronicles X, Elma is probably the only one with the most character. Thus, I think she'd be the perfect representative. I would say the Avatar, but they're so damn bland in that game. When their arm gets cut off, they don't even scream. So, I mean, I don't even know how that would work. I mean, it doesn't really matter in the long run, but like I said, Elma has more character and more potential to represent that game than anyone else does, in my opinion. Also, she, let's see, I don't remember everything from what she can do in that game. I know that she has, like, submachine guns, which could be a little concerning, but if they added Bayonetta with her pistols, I'm pretty sure they can slide in machine guns for her. Her final smash can be piloting a Skell, and and flying around in the background, the foreground, or even on the stage like Emmett Graves from PlayStation All-Stars. One of her alternates can be her true form, which I'm not going to talk much about because it's a spoiler. So go ahead and play that game for yourself if you want to know more on that, but she's got some things that can work out for her. And yeah, like I said, she's mainly on this list because she's one of those few characters from the Wii U that can represent, you know, a Wii U game that already isn't being represented in some form or another. There's not a lot to pick from when I look over the list. I mean, if anybody can pick though, without it being a veteran or like a redesign based on a different game, go ahead and let me know. Also, without it being a third party, because there's plenty of third parties. I'm trying not to fill up the list with them, at least not this one. Moving on at number 2, Decidueye from Pokemon Sun and Moon, to be specific. So a lot of people want the starter trio to finally be represented in Pokemon, but that's not the reason why I put Decidueye at number 2. The reason I put Decidueye at number 2 is because he's shown to have a lot of popularity, similar to how Greninja has tons of popularity from Gen 6. If I remember correctly, Greninja was voted the most popular Pokemon in Japan, and that's why he made it into Smash Brothers. Although I can't say the same for Decidueye because I don't know any poll, he has shown to be quite popular, also being one of the main attractions to the Switch port of Pokken Tournament. He already has a moveset already set up for him, being a grass type and a ghost type, and I love ghosts, but Decidueye is not a character I would really pick. I'd pick Incineroar personally, but since Charizard's already in the game, I feel they wouldn't put in 2 fire types. I think Decidueye would fit in better. And as for a final smash of sorts, since the Z moves are now a thing, I think it goes without saying what his move would be. There's potential for him. And if the popularity is as what I think it is, I believe he's going to be another newcomer. If they keep Greninja in, they'll have the trio, but if they take Greninja out, then there's a good chance he'll be replaced with Decidueye. Now, a lot of people might think that Decidueye should be number 1, especially after you hear what I picked as my number 1 for this list. My number 1, and who I think will most likely be picked for Smash 5 as a newcomer, is Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes. So, real quick, I just want to say that I've never played any No More Heroes game, and I know almost nothing about Travis Touchdown other than that he has like a beam katana, and he's like a assassin or a hitman or something. But I do know he has a game coming out on the Switch, if not exclusively for the Switch. He also has 2 games that came out on the Wii, and I think also the PS3. But if there was any better time to promote his game while keeping him considered as a character from a past console or whatever, you know what I mean, now would be the time to bring him out. Now, the reason why I put him at number 1 is because I'm trying to think, like, what kind of curveball could Sakurai possibly think of in terms of a new character? Because with the last character, the Smash Ballot chosen one, Bayonetta, being in, I feel that Sakurai would probably step up his game, or the whole team would step up their game as to who to put in as the curveball character. In Brawl, we had Snake, and like I said, in Smash 4, I consider it to be Bayonetta, although you can argue it's either Pac-Man or Mega Man, or someone else, but Bayonetta for me. I feel that Travis Touchdown would be that odd character for Smash 5. I can understand if the logic is weak in that regard, but that's how I feel, because I'm trying to think out of the box. I'm trying to think, what would they do? Would they go for the obvious choice, or would they go for something a little more crazy? And that's my reasoning as to why I think Travis Touchdown would be number one. Like I said, I've never played the games, and I know next to nothing about Travis, so I'm not going to compile a moveset. But what I will say is that if he doesn't have enough to work with from his past two games, they can easily implement something as, again, advertisement for his new game coming out. And that's my top 15 of what newcomers I think will make it into Smash Bros. 5. Just to recap those characters from 15 to 1, Springman and Ribbon Girl at number 15 from ARMS, Rex and Pyrrha, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, number 14. At number 13, Isabel from Animal Crossing, New Leaf specifically. At number 12, Rayman from the Rayman series. At number 11, Wonder Red from the Wonderful 101. At number 10, Shantae from the Shantae series. At number 9, Lana and Sia from Hyrule Warriors. At number 8, Lyn or Celica from Fire Emblem. At number 7, Isaac from Golden Sun. At number 6, Takamaru from the mysterious Murasame Castle. At number 5, Dixie Kong from Donkey Kong Country series. At number 4, King K. Rool from the Donkey Kong Country series. At number 3, Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. At number 2, Decidueye from Pokemon. And at number 1, Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes. I hope you enjoyed my list on who I think will make it. The last video in the Smash topic discussion videos, I'm going to be listing another top 15 of newcomers, but they're going to be newcomers of who I want. If I made any mistakes in this video, please feel free to correct me. Also, feel free to tell me who you think will make it into Smash Brothers. Not who you want, who you think will make it in. And let me know if you agree or disagree with my list. Again, comment if I made a mistake, or give me your logic as to why some characters might make it and some might, whether it's in your personal opinion on different characters or my opinion on characters. Like, maybe I didn't stress certain facts as to why this character may be in. Enlighten me. Or vice versa if you feel that they're not going to do it. So, next video, my top 15 newcomers I want to be in Smash Brothers. I'll see you guys next time.